as Mr. Beckingham. But that's not quite right. Not if you want to be part of my crew. There's no masters on this ship. No. Well, there might be a master gunner, and there might be a master pilot, and there might be a master boatswain. But my name be quartermaster. I be no captain, because the captain in a pirate ship. Do you think a pirate captain is always in charge of his ship? Yes or no? Well, captain on a pirate ship is only in charge when the cannons are firing, when the blunderbuss pistols are smoking, when we happen to be board in a ship to look for some booty, to look for some treasure. That's when the captain's in charge. But only then. Is the captain in charge when there's not any fighting? No. Well, we're not fighting right now, are we? No. We're all one crew, and we're all working together. No fighting on this ship. Therefore, I'm not the captain. I'm not in charge during times of battle. I'm in charge during times of stories, information. And as it happens, if any of you got very hungry, I'd be in charge of food. I'd be in charge of liquid to keep you refreshed. And that would mean my name is, if you've ever done my pirate club before, children, or you've done my storytelling club there at Canary Wharf Primary School, you'd already know the answer. Not Mr. Beckingham, no. Not Captain Beckingham, no. The quartermaster. The quartermaster on a pirate ship is in charge of information, stories, sharing treasure, sharing food, and sharing drink, sharing punishments, and sharing rules. Yes, that's right. Aha. Some of you children at Canary Wharf Primary School and other children further afield, why, I understand from my stories here online, I've had children as far as Hong Kong, Sydney, Australia, and America joining us. Doesn't matter where you are. The quartermaster on a pirate ship is in charge of information, stories, treasure, sharing, food, and sharing refreshments. And that's me today, for I'm here to tell you all a story that is a special story, a pirate story. Now, as some of you will no doubt know, there are many pirate stories in the world. Some of the more famous pirate stories are stories about pirates who were imagined by an author. Who of you children would like to write stories? Who likes writing stories? Who would like to be an author and write books when you're older, children? Well, if you were to write a make-up story from the vestigials, the deep caverns and tunnels and caves of your mind, and it became a pirate story, and you made it all up in your wonderful imagination, there's nothing wrong with that, children, no. And most of the most famous pirate stories in the world are indeed made-up stories of pirates that never truly lived except in their author's imagination. Well, I, children, am here to tell you a story that really did happen, a story about some pirates who deserve to be famous. Famous because, well, what is it that pirates like most? Do you think pirates like adventure? Yes, they do. Do you think pirates like sailing? They do most of the time. It's not easy being a pirate, you know. When you're a pirate, you have to deal with sea storms. You have to deal with waves as high as mountains of water. You have to deal with rain and wind gripping your sails. You have to deal with food that's gone off when you're keeping it only fresh with salt, and it tastes when you eat it. It's not easy being a pirate, you know. Not easy at all. What do pirates like most? It's not adventures. No, it's not. It's not sailing. No, it's not. I know some of you are shouting at your screens as loud as you can. Would you please shout at your screen right now as loud as you can, so all the grown-ups in your house come right towards you and wondering what is wrong? What is it that pirates like most? Shout it as loud as you can. 1, 2, 3. Who's giving me the answer? Who said treasure? Did you say treasure? If you said treasure, well done, you got it right. Well, treasure happens to be the thing that pirates like most. Treasure is the whole purpose of being a pirate. If you're a pirate and you don't like treasure, what sort of pirate is that? The whole purpose of being a pirate is going after treasure. Yes, you have to like adventures. Well, if you don't like them, you're going to be miserable because it's an adventure getting treasure every single time. If you don't like sailing, you're going to be miserable. You might as well like sailing, but you have to like treasure. You have to want treasure. Put your hands up. Say, ah, if you like treasure. That was too quiet, children. I want you to get your hands up like this. I want to count to 1, 2, 3. This is the back to school, by the way. I'm going to count to 1, 2, 3. And then when I swing my hand down as hard as I can, I'd like you to do the same thing as me. Don't hit your computer screen, children. You might crack it. You're very strong, stronger than you think. Going to go 1, 2, 3, swing and give it a great big har. Are you ready? On 1, 2, 3, har! Now, what does har mean? I've asked that question many times. It's a word that everybody knows is a pirate word. If I was to walk up to a stranger in the street, or you were to walk up to a stranger in the street and say, "Excuse me, Mr. Stranger, what does har mean?" Well, most people would say it's a pirate word. But what does it mean? Yes, it's a pirate word. But unless you've been in my pirate club before, or unless you've written, I should say, unless you've read, because I wrote it, didn't I? I wrote the book. Well, I didn't write it quickly. I wrote it very slow. It took me 4 years to write the story I'm going to tell you about. And it was a true story. There's a very special pirate story, because, as I say, it was about the thing that pirates like most. Yes, indeed, it was about treasure. It wasn't just about any old treasure. It was about the most valuable treasure, the most expensive treasure ever found by pirates, which happened to be a secret until I wrote this book. It happened 300 years ago. In fact, it happened on the 21st of April, 1721, which makes it 300 years and about 6 or 7 or 8 months ago. Over 300 years ago, when these pirates found the most expensive treasure ever found by pirates in the whole history of the world. Well, if you were to find the most expensive treasure ever in the history of the world, and you didn't get given it by a prime minister, you weren't handed it by a queen or given it as a king, but you stole it. It's not nice stealing, children. If you steal, then whoever you stole it off, that makes somebody very sad. It's not nice stealing, children. No, it's not. Don't steal unless you want to make people sad. And if you want to make people sad, you'll probably end up with no friends and not be very happy yourself. However, the most expensive treasure in the whole history of the world ever, that was found by pirates, had itself been stolen. Well, not exactly stolen, but something else even worse, perhaps, which you'll find out in this story. Anyway, this story is the story, the true story, not pretend, not from my imagination, but one that really happened just over 300 years ago, for the most expensive treasure ever found by pirates. And it happens to be called, does anybody remember? Does anybody know if you've ever heard this story before? I mean, over the last month, I've been telling this story online, and sometimes there's been more than 10,000 children. 10,000. If I had 10,000 fingers, I'd show you. But if I had 10,000 fingers, they'd be filling this whole room. They'd be filling this whole house. 10,000 fingers. I'm pleased I don't. I've only got 10. But 10,000. Hearing the story of the treasure that the pirates found, that was the most valuable treasure ever. The name of the story is The Diamond Ship. And here's a book. What does Quartermaster Beckingham, that's me, what does Quartermaster Beckingham keep inside his chest? Well, look at this chest. Not so easy to open, children. Imagine you found a chest like this in the hold of a ship. Do you know what the hold is? What's the hold of a ship? Do you know? Call it out so loud that the grown-ups in your house can hear you. If you know what the hold is, the hold of the ship is the part of the ship where the pirates hold things. That's why it's called the hold. It's not at the top of the ship. It's not in the middle of the ship. It's in the very bottom of the ship. It's the part of the ship at the very bottom, right down in the wooden belly of it. It's the only place in the whole pirate ship that has such a high roof that full-grown pirates like me, there's my head, there's the roof, you can walk around underneath the roof and not hit your head on a great big pole. That's where we keep that's where we hold all our food, sailcloth, ropes, treasure. What does har really mean? I'm holding on to that question for you, children. Don't you worry. I won't forget to answer it. It's such a good question. And of all the people I've ever asked, ever. No one's ever given me the right answer unless they've read a book. The book about the pirates who found the richest treasure ever. The pirates, I'm pleased to say, didn't exactly steal it because they stole it off someone who'd stolen it and then gave it back to the people who'd got it in the first place. Rather a nice story, that is. And the name of the story is, this is the book, children, The Diamond Ship. If it's called The Diamond Ship, what sort of treasure do you think it was? The treasure that was the most valuable treasure ever found by pirates. I mean, you could get all sorts of things in your booty. Booty being another word for anything that was found by pirates on a ship that they boarded. Booty could include old rope, useful on a ship. Booty could include food or drink. As long as you're a pirate and you got it on someone's ship in a barrel or a chest or a sack, then it's yours. And if you happen to be a pirate and you jumped on someone else's ship and took it over and said, this is my ship now, not yours, that's not called booty, that's called the prize. The prize is a ship that was stolen by pirates, and they liked it so much they didn't burn it or sink it to the bottom of the sea. They kept it and they sailed it. Nice ship, they said, we'll keep that as our prize. Pirates like prizes, they had more than one. There are a few prizes in this story, The Diamond Ship. Back to the question, what sort of treasure was the most valuable treasure ever found in the history of piracy on the 7 seas and 3 oceans of this world? Do you think it was rubies? Do you think it was old rope? Do you think it was emeralds? Do you think it was pearls? No. Diamonds. Did you say that? Let's hear you say it so loud that although I'm in southeast London, and many of you, I know, if you go to Canary Wharf Primary School, are going to be sat there in Island Gardens, and I'm in Forest Hill. Rather nice names. Forest Hill, that's me. Island Gardens, that you? Or maybe you're one of those children in Hong Kong who's been listening to my stories. One of those children in America or Sydney, Australia. Wherever you are, call out as loud as you can. What sort of treasure was it that the pirates found? The most valuable treasure ever. I can't hear you. I still can't hear you. Come on, pirates. I heard someone then, a little echo coming over the rooftops. Like Peter Pan jumping over rooftops. That's how loud you shouted it. Your voice is jumping on rooftops, just like Peter Pan, over the chimneys and over the rooftops and over the slates and over the tiles. Ooh, suddenly into my ear as a very distant whisper, loud as you could from your lungs. Diamonds, you said, and that indeed is the right answer. That's why it's called the Diamond Ship. Interesting, that stroke of genius, wouldn't you say, to call it the Diamond Ship when it's a book full of diamonds. Not any old diamonds, but diamonds that made up the richest treasure ever found by pirates. I've mentioned Peter Pan, haven't I? Called Peter Pan because he was the main character, and I know you would like to be story writers like me and write your own books like I have. I've written 8 books so far. Some of the books paper, and they're called paperbacks. Some of those paperback stories become other things, like these days they could become like e-books, which means you can just read them on your computer or your phone. I've just had this very story just yesterday, actually, children, just yesterday, children, become an audio book, which means you don't need to read it. It's not a hard book to read, The Diamond Ship. I've written it for primary age children. You see, there's a lot of words in there. It's not a picture book for 5-year-olds, but I know most of you aren't 5 years old. Most of you are children who are learning to read. Some of you are quite good at reading. And this is a book with larger words than you would normally get in an adult-sized story, with bigger print and easier to read, and some pictures inside, like this cannonball coming straight at you. But it's now an audio book as well. And if afterwards you have a little look at the website, ask your grown-up if you're not sure, though I think some of you children are probably better than some of the grown-ups in your house at looking these things up. Look on your website. I know that Canary Camp will be showing you a link to the audio book. You can listen to it. You can even listen to it for free if you want to. You can either buy it and keep it, or you can get it for free and keep it, as long as you then join Audible, who are the publishing company publishing company means they make all the audio books and you can listen to all of them. And if you join them to listen to more books every single month, you can, if you want to, get the audio book of The Diamond Ship for free. Is it me, Quartermaster Beckingham, telling you the story? Not on the audio book. I did write this book, yes I did. I researched it. It took whole years, but I'm not the one reading it. I've got an excellent pirate, a brilliant pirate, a real-life pirate, just like me, called Guy Barnes, who was so good at reading stories and so wanted to read the stories and had such a good pirate voice that he read the audio book. As I say, you can look it up online and grab yourself a copy. You can buy it or you can even have it for free. Just look it up, children, by me, Adrian Beckingham, Quartermaster Beckingham, The Diamond Ship, and there you go. But for now, this is the paperback. But we don't need the book because it's all in my brain. Do you know why it's all in my brain, children? Because I wrote the book. How long did it take me to read it? Well, I could read it. In a few hours, I'd say. A few hours of reading for grown-up. A bit longer than that for children because you're still learning to read, even when you're excellent readers. And you do have to be quite a good reader to read The Diamond Ship. But if you can't read so well, or you just can't be bothered, just listen to the audiobook where the whole story is told to you by a pirate called Guy Barnes. Excellent. Well, it only took a few hours to read it, but to write this book, to write The Diamond Ship, the true story of the real-life pirates who found the most treasure ever, that took me 4 years. How long did it take me? 4 years? To write a skinny little book like that? Oh, I must be a slow writer. But it wasn't easy. You see, I had to find out all the facts. And these were facts that had been hidden by pirates 300 years ago. I already asked you, if you got the biggest treasure ever, would you tell everybody that you had it if you stole it? Or would you hide it and keep it secret? These pirates kept the treasure secret. They buried it the best they could, not buried it under the sand. By the way, how many bags of treasure buried by pirates, not pretend ones, but real ones, how many bags or chests of treasure, sacks of treasure, buried by pirates in forests or on beaches or in caves or under cliffs have ever been found? Do you think it's 1 bag? Do you think it's 2, 3 chests, 5 sacks? How many do you think? Shout it out as loud as you can, even louder than you, the 1, 2, 3, ha! Shout it out as loud as you can so your parents come running again, your grown-ups come running again and say, what's wrong? Why do you keep shouting? They've said, because I'm being a real-life pirate, and pirates aren't very quiet. Pirates are good at being noisy. Did you shout 1? 1 bag of treasure's been found. That was a good try, but not the right answer. The wonderful thing about answers that aren't the right answer is they get us closer to the right answer. Every time you make a guess that's a wrong guess, you get 1 clue closer to the proper answer, which is exactly why, children, it's very, very good to guess if you don't know. Who said 2? Who said 3? Who said 4 sacks? Who said 5? Who said 10? I'm afraid none of those are right, children. If you were to read the story of the Diamond Ship, you'd find out all these interesting facts about pirates. Not pretend, not imaginary, not made up, but real. If you're interested in real pirates, even grown-ups who think they know lots about pirates are very surprised when they read this book at just how much they didn't know. The true answer to how many bags or sacks or barrels or chests of treasure have been found buried by real-life pirates 300, 400, 500 years ago, it's a big fat 0. 1 0, 2 zeros, 10 zeros. Doesn't matter how many zeros you put together. If you put together 10 ones, you get 10. If you put together 10 twos, you get 20. But if you put together 10 zeros, you still get 0. And that's how many real-life sacks or bags or chests of treasure have been found buried by pirates. I'm sorry if you find that disappointing, But actually, it's quite exciting because it means that none of them have ever been found, which also means they're still out there. Aha! Who's going to go and find them? Maybe you will be the one. So, this real life story began just over 300 years ago. As you know, I'm going to tell you the answer to that question now because now it's important. It's very important. What does har mean? Well, we all know pirates did it. We all know pirates said it. But what did it really mean? Well, if you've done my pirate club at Canary Wharf Primary School, you'll know the answer, as long as you've not forgotten. I'm sure you've not forgotten, because you all learnt it so well. But if you've not done my pirate club at school, then it's quite likely you're making all these guesses and all the guesses are wrong. Doesn't matter, there's nothing wrong with a wrong guess. It gets you closer, children, to the right answer. So what does har mean? I'll tell you. It doesn't mean jump board. It doesn't mean put down your swords. It doesn't mean anything you might have been guessing. You see, it took me 4 years to write this story, but I've now known this story for nearly 10 years. And every single time I've asked this question, even on real life pirate ships, like being the quartermaster storyteller on Sir Francis Drake's pirate galleon, the Golden Hind, as some of you children in my clubs will know, I really do have a real life pirate ship. I really was a quartermaster storyteller on that real life pirate ship under a captain called Sir Francis Drake. Have you heard of him? Heard of Sir Francis Drake? He went and got a great big load of treasure over from Spain. Well, actually, the Spanish stole it from America, and the pirates stole it off them. Oh, sorry, Sir Francis Drake. He wasn't a pirate, was he? Well, he might have been, but no, he had a letter from a queen, Queen Elizabeth I. Queen Elizabeth I actually said, you are allowed to steal treasure. You're not there for a pirate, you're a privateer. A privateer was a pirate who had a letter from a king or a queen or a duke or an earl or a governor, somebody important. He said, that person there's allowed to steal treasure. So I'm going to give half of it to me, keep half for themselves, they're allowed to. That's what a privateer was. Whereas a pirate just went and stole treasure without anybody saying that they could. Anyway, so Francis Drake, on his famous ship, the Golden Hind, which was my pirate ship, right here in London, right this very minute there, it was a pirate ship that had its own captain, a privateer who had permission from the Queen of England to go and steal treasure as long as they gave half of it to the Queen. And she got to choose the nicest half, the very best half. She chose for herself, and all the pirates, including the captain, could choose to keep the rest for themselves. Well, no matter where I question what does har mean, on a real life pirate ship like the Golden Hind, nobody's ever given me the right answer. That's because nobody did what I did. What I did was spend 4 years reading old books, 300 years old, 400 years old, 500 years old. These books were as fat as an elephant's trunk. When they were lying on the table, they were that high. Not when they were standing up. When they were lying flat, they were that high, as fat as an elephant's trunk. And the letters in these books were as big as that. Why do you think the letters in these books were as big as that? I mean, letters these days are as big as that. Why were they as big as that? Why do you think they were as big as that? If you wrote down the reason why they're as big as that is these books were 300 years old, and back then, when you print a book, look at all the letters. Those letters are made by a printing press, and this is quite a big lettered book these days because it's written for children your age. The letters are a bit bigger than you might expect in a grown-up book. But 300 years ago, the printing presses, printing all the letters on the paper like that, they couldn't make smaller letters, smaller than that. So it was as small as they could get them, which is partly why the books were as fat as an elephant's trunk, the books I had to read, but no one had read them for so long that when I opened up the pages in these dusty old museums, all the dust came out of the pages, poof, there's a great big pillow of great big billowing of dust like that all over Quartermaster Becking's face. I had to rub off my eyes and have a sneeze, in order to keep reading. But by reading enough books and pegging all the facts together with long pieces of string, you see, I wasn't allowed to photocopy these books, and I wasn't allowed to take them home like from a library. This was not a library, children. This was museums, and they don't let things from museums, at least not to pirates, they don't. So I had to make big pieces of string to link that fact to that fact and that fact to this fact on a great big enormous museum table. I look like a mad professor writing this book with old books everywhere with pieces of string linking all the facts. And in the end, I came up with a true story of the pirates who got the most treasure ever, but when they got it, they buried it, not the treasure itself, but the story of how they got the treasure, so no one would know it was them and no one would try and take it off them. But to save you the trouble of reading all those great big books and getting all that dust in your face and sitting in great big museums where you're not even allowed to take a photo of the page, I wrote it all down for you here, The Diamond Ship. It was a lot of work, children, but I do like working, especially it's got true stories, telling stories, reading stories, finding out historical facts. That's one of my favourite things to do. What's the name of the pirate captain who got the most treasure ever? He had one of these. All pirates have one of these. All pirates do. Do you know what this is called? Yes, it's a gun. Yes, it's a pistol. I don't like guns. I don't like pistols. I don't like what they do to people. They make people scared and they hurt people. It's not nice to hurt people, children. It's nice to be kind to people. It's nice to help people. If you go through life being mean to people, when you get to be little and old, you'll be a mean old person with no friends. If you're friendly to people, then you'll be a little old person one day with lots of friends, and that's much nicer. But pirates like these, because pirates are busy stealing treasure. You see, our pirates would jump from one ship to the other, holding these. What were these called? Did anybody say it? It's a blunderbuss. What's it called? Did you say blunderbuss? Did you say blunderbuss? It's a blunderbuss, that's right. A blunderbuss pistol only fires one shot at a time. Takes about 15 minutes to load and get ready to fire. 15 minutes! And that's if there's no rain and no wind. If there is rain or there is wind, well, it can make it all blow away or make it all wet. And you have to start again. So the 15 minutes starts again. Ah! The pirates had to be very, very ready with their blunderbuss pistols. They climb up in the rigging. They go up to the top of the very mast called the cross tree at the very, very top and up in the rigging. And they get ready to jump down and fire their pistol at the enemy ship. They didn't care who they fired on, which is just as well, because a blunderbuss pistol never fires straight. It never fires straight. What does it never do? It never fires straight. Pirate pistols always fire wonky. The bullet might go up here, the bullet might go down there, the bullet might go sideways, but it's not going to go, the shot is not going to go straight ahead. The most safe person in front of a firing pirate blunderbuss pistol is the person in front of the firing pirate blunderbuss pistol, because a bullet is likely to go out wonky, but the pirates don't mind who they hit. As long as it goes through somebody's belly or somebody's nose or somebody's ear, makes that person go, oh, I don't want to fight the pirates. Pirates are really bad. That makes it easier for the pirates to get the treasure. Well, our pirates have been going from one ship to the other, and they've been doing something actually rather nice. The pirates who got the biggest treasure ever actually got that treasure partly because they were doing something very nice. You see, well, pirates aren't known for being friendly. Pirates are known for being mean. But these pirates have been going from one ship to the other, and when they jumped on the ship, they'd open all the chests and open all the sacks, but they were looking for something else as well. They were looking for slaves. You know what slaves are, children? Slaves, they normally came from Africa, or they came from India, or they came from Portugal, or they came from Spain. If you were unlucky enough to be a slave, it meant every single second when you were awake, when you weren't asleep, when you were awake, every single second when you were awake, you'd work for somebody else. You'd get their food, you'd patch their clothes, you'd build their houses, you'd dig their holes, you'd plant their trees, you'd look after their everything and never get paid. Eat the tiniest bit of food. Wasn't a very nice job, working all day, every waking moment, never get paid, never eat very good food, never go on holidays. It was a rubbish job and you never got any money, as you know. Well, there happened to be a diamond mine that was right on the bottom of India in a place called Goa. And in this place called Goa, where this diamond mine was, there were lots of slaves who never got paid, digging great big, deep, dark holes down into the ground. digging out the diamonds. And this diamond mine was looked after, was commanded by a count called the Count of Erisea. He was also called the Viceroy of Goa. He had many names, he had many titles, and he worked for the King of Portugal. But the King of Portugal wasn't there. The King of Portugal was in Portugal. So the Count of Erisea, Viceroy of Goa, was the boss as far as he was concerned. And he'd get all the slaves going down into the diamond mine and pulling up the diamonds. And how many of those diamonds do you think the slaves ever got to keep for themselves? 0. Well, it happens that one day some of those slaves had been sold, just like you might sell a blanket, just like you might sell a pair of shoes, or you might sell a piece of fruit. These slaves, human beings like me, human beings like you, had been sold, given a new owner, and put on a ship. And they were sailing across the Indian Ocean when suddenly our pirates, Pirate Captain John Taylor, there's a name for you, and Pirate Captain Edward Seagar, really Edward England, he was known as, but his real name was Edward Seagar, but he's changed his name to make himself harder to find. Pirates didn't like being found, so they changed their names. Pirate Captain Edward England, really Edward Seagar, and Pirate Captain John Taylor had jumped onto this ship. Aha! And they'd said, fire their blunderbuss pistols. And they went opening up the chests on this ship. Now, pirates always had one of these. Does anyone know what this is called? You can see it's a bit like a knife, but it's not a knife. Have you ever seen a knife quite like this? It's got lots of little pointy metal bits on it. This is not pretend, children. Just like my blunderbuss pistol is not pretend, it's real. I am not a pretend pirate author. I'm a real life pirate author who tells historical stories about real pirates. And all of the things that I show to the children are, like all the things in my books, real. This is a real life pirate hangar. What did I call it? What did I say? A pirate what? A pirate hangar. Well, pirate hangar because pirates had belts, and it would hang in their belt while they were doing all the things they had to do as a sailor. Because pirates were sailors, they lived on ships. They had to know how to unfurl a reef, which means open up a sail. They had to know how to push a capstan, which was a great big wooden pole inside of the ship. There'd be 4 poles hanging onto this great big wooden disc, and they'd all push it for 4 hours. How long did I say? 4 hours? 4 hours to the drum beat. Bang, 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 bang. The pirate drummers would be drumming, and the pirates would be pushing up the capstan for 4 hours to raise the anchor or to drop it. And as I say, they had to be pulling on ropes and raising sails. They had to have their hands free. And this was called a hanger because it would hang in their belts. A very important thing if you're a pirate, your hanger, every single pirate had one. They all looked a bit different to each other. No 2 of them were like. I've got 2 pirate hangers myself, and they both look very different to each other, but they're both made of metal. They both have sharp little points, and they're both very good at, ooh, look at this chest again. You can get the hanger and put it just inside here, or just inside there, or just behind there, and pull off the metal and pull up the braces, pull off the hinges. You don't need to open the lock. If you've got a hanger, you can break open the back of the chest, and that's what they were for, splitting open sacks or breaking the backs of chests, breaking the hinges. Don't worry about the lock. The lock's start. We'll ignore that. We'll get into the chest and find out what's inside. Well, once these pirates opened up each chest, who do you think was in charge of sharing what was there? Do you think it was the captain? Do you think the captain shared out the treasure? If you say that, you've not been listening properly, children. Who did I say? Who did I say opened up the chest? Who did I say shared out the food? Who did I say shared out the punishments and the rules? Shared out the treasure. If you say quartermaster, that's the right answer. So there was our pirates in the Indian Ocean, and there's a quartermaster sharing everything out. Let's see what's inside, they'd say. Let's open it up. Let's get your pirate hanger lifted up as though you've got one. We'll all do it together. pretend you've got a chest like me, pretend you've got a hanger like me. Probably don't, because it comes from a very expensive museum and not many people get them. But just pretend, put it into your chest. We'll go 1, 2, 3, crack. Are you ready? Crack it open. 1, 2, 3, crack. And as soon as I open up the chest, spin it around, let's see what's inside. Everybody gets an equal share, says the quartermaster. Well, they'd opened up coffee, and they'd opened up salt, and they'd opened up sacks full of old ropes and all sorts of things. And every single thing they opened up, the quartermaster would say, right, let's have a vote. Are we going to keep it? Are we going to chuck it overboard? Are we going to use it? We're going to sell it at market. Every pirate gets one vote, even the captain. What would you vote for the coffee? Keep it, sell it, throw it overboard? What about the old rope? When finally, at the very, very back of all these different sacks, they found some slaves, people in chains. And Pirate Captain John Taylor and Pirate Captain Edward Seagull, we've got 2 captains in the story at this point, they said to their crews, right, what are we going to do with these slaves? We could keep them, and they could do all our homework for us. That would be nice. We'd like to have someone to do all your homework for you. They could do all our brushing and all our cleaning for us. They could do all our heavy lifting for us. So keep them, that's one vote. Chuck them overboard, swim with crocodiles, why not? Yes, give them a swim with the crocodiles. That's another vote. Sell them at market. Some of these slaves look quite strong. We could sell them and make some money. Who'd like to sell your slave? But remember, these slaves are people, just like me, just like you. What about if we were to let them go, break the chains and let them go? That's another vote, right? So we're going to either keep them, throw them overboard, sell them, or let them go. Let me hear what's your vote. Remember, this is a true life story. It really happened in the year 1721 in the Indian Ocean, not far from the pirate island of Madagascar. These slaves that had come from Goa, from the southern tip of India, who'd been working for 10 years, digging up diamonds in big long tunnels in pitch black underneath the earth. For a cruel count, the Count of Erisia, the Viceroy of Goa, was keeping all the diamonds for himself. Now, do you think we're going to do with these slaves? Now, what was your vote? If you said throw them overboard with the crocodiles, that's not what the pirate said. If you said sell them at market, that's not what the pirate said. If you said keep them to do all your homework and ship work, that's not what the pirate said. These pirates realized that all lives matter. The lives of those black African slaves and those Indian slaves and Portuguese slaves and Spanish slaves were important, especially if you're one of the slaves. And so they decided to let them go, and they broke the chains with a great big snap. And because the pirates had given those slaves the most valuable treasure ever, not diamonds, but freedom to be free and not have a master anymore. Well, as you can imagine, the slaves were very happy. The slave said, do you like secrets? Well, pirates do like secrets. Ahar! What does ahar really mean? You're about to find out. These slaves, they said to the pirates, we know where there's some diamonds. There've been diamonds being dug out of the ground in a mine in Goa in the south of India for 10 years. And right now, 10 years worth of diamonds are on a ship going through the Indian Ocean to try and go round the Cape of Good Hope at the very bottom of India, and very bottom of Africa, I should say, the Cape of Good Hope, and all the way up the West African coast to Portugal. Got to go through the Indian Ocean, those diamonds do. They've got to go through the Atlantic Ocean, those diamonds do, all the way to the Portuguese king. And if we were to find that ship, then we would get those diamonds. And that's when Pirate Captain John Taylor said, aha! Because aha means, in real life pirate language, everybody come and listen. What did I just say? Everybody come and listen. I've got some pirate secrets to tell. It might be a secret about a storm. It might be a secret about the Navy. It might be a secret about anything at all. In this case, it's about diamonds. Aha means everybody come and listen. But if you're not a pirate, you don't know what it means, you won't come and listen. And all the pirates there in the Indian Ocean on this little ship, they all gathered together and they found out that there were some diamonds, and they voted they'd go and get them. I've only told you a slice of the story, children. You've learned all sorts of cool stuff about real-life pirates, but I'm afraid our time is up. It really is time to go. I'd like you to go to your grown-up and tell them all the things that you've learned about pirates. But if you'd like to learn more and you'd like to read the whole story, well, I said it would take a few hours to read it, which would mean it would take a few hours to tell it. It took 4 years to write, digging through old bits of manuscript and dusty bits of paper in old museums to put the story together. Go and grab yourself a copy of The Diamond Ship. It's available as an ebook. It's available as a paperback. Best of all, as of yesterday, it's an audio book read by the wonderful pirate Guy Barnes for you to sit back and listen to, learn all about pirates, and find out the rest of the story about the real-life pirates who found the most treasure ever. But for now, children, I think it really is time to hand you back to